Oh, that's stopping automatically. What is up, guys? Patrick Tijicholha here, and today I'm a little bit conflicted. And that's because I have a lineup of vlogs that I'm supposed to do, but then sometimes I watch the previous vlog that I did and I start to think, what if I could do something a little bit more related to that, because I feel like the information was incomplete, and that's what I think I'm gonna do today. The last vlog I shot was talking about shooting in manual, but after watching that vlog I realized that you may still be wondering how you can use different combinations to just take better pictures, whether you're in low light, whether you're in great ambient light. So with this vlog today, I'm going to be going a little bit back to that, to just be able to cement everything, and just showing you different combinations of shutter speed, ISO and aperture, how you can use those to just take good images, some effects that you can use, changing the different parameters, some different effects that you can have on your images, and just a little bit more talk about shutter speed and ISO and aperture. So keep watching this vlog. I'm gonna go out and have a shoot with a friend of mine, so we're gonna use that to be able to explain shutter speed, ISO and aperture settings that you can use in different combinations. So keep watching. Slight change of plans. I have done the photo shoot with Mwenzi, actually a great photo shoot, but the thing is I was not able to get the results that I wanted in terms of maneuvering with the shutter speed, ISO and aperture. So what I'm going to do is I'm heading back home now, and I'll try and think through a few things that I can use to really get the results that I want. So let's get home. Now that looks like it was gonna be, or is going to be, a massive sunflower. Okay, I think we're set. Recording. Alright, welcome back. I am back home now, and we can actually get into the meat of this video. So let's get into talking about the different combinations of shutter speed, ISO and aperture that you can actually use. Where is shutter priority useful? It depends on the situation that you're shooting. So say for example you're shooting in a situation where you want to stop motion, okay? You don't want to have motion blur in your image. Then you would shoot in a higher shutter setting. So if you put it in if you put your camera at say 1/500th of a second or 1/1000th of a second, then you are going to be able to stop motion in whatever image that you are taking. I'll try and put up some images as examples to how you can stop motion, just so that you can better understand. But that's what a higher shutter speed will do for you. Whenever something fast is going on in the scene and you want to capture that motion, like you want to stop it, like say for example this picture of this balloon that I captured with my little brother there, I was trying to stop the motion so that we can see frame by frame what happens when this balloon pops. And what I had to do was I had to bring up the shutter speed all the way up to 1/4000th of a second So that meant in the speed of 1/4000th of a second, the camera would be able to capture an image, and that's how I was able to stop this motion and just be able to get, you know, all the detail of what was happening with the balloon in this image. So that's an example of what you can use a high shutter speed for. So now, what can you use a low shutter speed for? Well, you can use that to create what is called motion blur. Now, this is blur caused by the motion that is happening within a scene that you're shooting. So this is great for when you're doing stuff like car photography. If I remember well, a friend of mine from Z Gear did some tracking shots of different cars, and he was using a low shutter speed so that you're able to get motion blur in the background of the image, and also things like having the wheels also show that feeling of they are turning, you know what I mean? So then you use a low shutter speed so that you can get some of that motion blur to just capture that sense of motion in the picture. But you use a low shutter speed to create motion blur. So yeah, those are basically the two things that you need to know about your shutter speed. So even when you're shooting events, you need to be careful. Like if you're in a situation where it's low light and you're trying to bring down your shutter speed so that you expose your image for a bit longer, you will find that when people are waving or people are moving around, you will get that motion blur, and that will cause your images to look like they're not really as sharp as they're supposed to be. So you want to just be careful that when you're in low light situations, you don't just bring down your shutter speed, because then you will capture more motion blur. So now let's go on to aperture. Aperture, there are two things that, you know, I think you need to know about your aperture and how adjusting it might affect your image. One is that when you shoot with a wide aperture, say if you're shooting at f1.8, which is a pretty low aperture, that will allow much more light into your camera, and that's great for low light situations. It's going to allow you to get more of the lighting going on in the room, and kind of actually gives you like a real feel of the lighting situation that's going on. But then the problem that you have at shooting very low aperture values is that there is a certain focal the focal range that you have at f1.8 is quite small. And what I mean by the focal range is the area in which your subject can be focused without crossing into, like, you know, the depth of field or like an area of blur. So say for example, when you're shooting at I'm actually shooting at f1.8 right now, and you can see that the field, the area of focus is really where I'm sitting, because this is where I set the focus. But if I move slightly forward, I am blurred out, and at the same time, if I move slightly back there, you can see I am out of focus. So I need to stay within this small range, of which I'm not even sure, because now I don't know, when I look it kind of looks a bit blurry, so I don't know if it's correct. But anyway, yeah, but that's about the area of focus. So you just have to know that when you bring down your aperture, you will have like this small area of focus in which you can actually, you know, get your image in tack sharp focus. Then if you bring up the value of your aperture, you're going to bring in less light into your camera, and also you're going to knock off a lot of the depth of field, so there won't be a lot of background blur. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But then ISO, you just have to be able to judge whether you're in a bright situation. You know that you're going to have to use a lower ISO value. When you're in a darker situation, you're going to have to use a higher ISO value. But then just keeping in mind that if you use a higher higher ISO value, then you are going to have background noise if you cross a certain point. So like for me, I use anything from 800 going down. And yeah, but there are cameras that can actually go much higher than 800 and still give you a crisp, sharp image. But anyway, that's pretty much that's pretty much all I had for you today. So you just go out, try to shoot
and use these different combinations. If you want to do 1/200th of a second at f1.8, try and take a picture with that. And the battery just died. Now I have to change the battery. Give me a second. I don't even know if we're back in focus here. But what? Okay. But anyway, go out, shoot some different photos, try the different combinations. You know, if you shoot at 1/200th of a second and at f1.8, if it's so bright, you probably have to bring that up to maybe 1/500th of a second. And then shoot at f1.8 to get a good depth of field. And yeah, just keep trying those different combinations. Yeah, I hope that somebody has learned something from this video today. Like it if you like it, dislike it if you don't. Leave a comment below, let me know what I can improve on, ask questions about photography, and yeah, until the next one guys, peace.